Hey guys, welcome to the Road to a Millie, the freshly renovated Road to a Millie. And this renovation, it costs us lots of resources. 78, 79 weeks of hour-long calls to figure out what kind of worked and what definitely didn't work. And so the format of these calls have changed. And last week was the first one, and we did a bad job of explaining the format, so that way you guys could actually continue to get more value from these calls by being more interactive, by asking questions. And so Katie's going to ensure that we have a little bit of time at the end of this call to be able to answer some of you guys' questions throughout this call, so that way you guys like when something pops up and you want clarity on it, you need a little bit more context. You have a specific situation about something we talked about today, that you guys can actually get an answer to that question. Now, mind you, this is not general Q&A. This is not general. We have general Q&A inside the coaching community. That's on Wednesdays. And so if you want general Q&A, go to that. But if you have a question on specifically the topic we're talking about today, which is the 5 personal skills required to build our business, you have the opportunity to get that question asked and answered all on this call today. And so make sure that you guys are in the chat, you guys are participating, and Katie and James are going to be scouring the chat for a couple of questions that we can get answered by the end of this call, to, again, try to make these calls as valuable as possible, because just sitting behind the computer consuming is not value, right? You might as well just go watch Netflix, okay? Might as well go watch a sports event, right? Like, inherently nothing happens if you just consume. The value comes from when you're able to hear a concept, hear a strategy, take an idea, and be able to implement it, to be able to execute it, to be able to try it, to be able to make a freaking mistake in your business with it. That is valuable, okay? That is valuable. More valuable than just consuming a podcast or a call like this or reading a book, okay? The value is in the implementation. And so the goal is for me and Katie to be able to try to create as much clarity around the strategy, so you guys feel like you have enough of the vision to be able to execute, so that way when you do the strategy, the tactic, the thing, you're able to recognize what ideal outcome is supposed to look like. And if you don't happen to achieve ideal outcome, which, by the way, the probability of you doing it is very, very low, at least you'll know why. And if you understand, why it didn't work, that is valuable. And it's every rejection, it's every no, it's every time it doesn't work that gets you closer to figuring out why it does work. And once you have it work, and once you get it to work once, that's how you get it to work again and again and again and again. And it's how you create consistency. And that's ultimately what a system creates, is it creates consistent results. And so that is really what Katie and I can offer, is a system of processes and systems that work. The second piece of that is, can you get them to work? Because while one thing is the system, the other part of the equation is the skills of the operator. And that's really what we're talking about today, is the skill of the operator. And so system, important, but skill, equally important. Okay. And so for all you guys who have come to Decking Today, or some of you guys who are coming to Decking Today, this is actually something that we're going to spend a lot of time on. We actually have a whole presentation dedicated to the personal skills required to build our business. So I'm actually taking a little snippet from that presentation that people pay thousands of dollars for, and we're going to talk about some of these personal skills at a very vague level, but a level that you can actually take and understand and be able to comprehend and be able to take action on today, that you can start to have clarity on what skills that you have deficits in, and so how you can close those deficits. And when you close the skill deficit, that's how you close the money deficit on your business, going from 20,000 that's currently doing 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 to how you get it to go to 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a month. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of these personal skills. Katie, do we got personal skills that we're going to share today?
I'm really excited for this one. Yes. The system is amazing. The system works. The system is proven. The system has helped hundreds of business owners. And the most consistent question that I get from anybody who applies to work with us is, what's the average result? Like, what is an expectation that I can have for the outcome? And it's amazing because the answer is today. The answer is the system is proven, the system works. It is the who behind the system that will vary the results. So how much are you willing to sacrifice? How much pain are you willing to endure? How much are you willing to fall on your face and get back up and try again? That will ultimately create the outcome of your success. So how quickly you want to scale all comes down to your personal skills.
Yeah. And those personal skills, we also think about them in the standpoint of what you have now, but some people come with skills beforehand. Like if you guys even just think about it from Katie and I's story, some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't, but Katie and I started our first home cleaning business 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years in October. We started Bozeman 5-star cleaning. Okay. And by year number 3, Katie was able to take that business literally from $0, zero reputation, 0 experience in the business. And she built a $1 million cleaning business in 3 years. Now, Katie had skills, right? And one of Katie's best skills, and some of you guys know this, was she married rich. No, not rich in money, but rich in work ethic, rich in determination, rich in consistency, and rich in just in the willingness to do whatever it takes to learn the skills to eventually become rich. And it was funny, Katie and I talked about this a little bit yesterday about being motivated. And Alex put this so well. And I was like, that resonates with me. Like, I was actually never really motivated to really be rich and to like want lots of things. I was just very motivated to not be poor, to not be broke, to not have to be told what to do. Very, very motivated by that. And so my desire for riches was not to buy lots of fancy things. Like after I bought fancy things, I just like, it doesn't get me. But you know what does get me? Is when I can just tell somebody, no, I don't want your money. And I will be just fine. And I will still be able to buy groceries. I'll still be able to live my life. And I can just say no. Some of you guys might know this, but I used to do a podcast many years ago. I used to do a podcast, and one of the last person I interviewed was a guy named Matt Higgins, and he was a shark, right? How many of you guys ever seen this show Shark Tank? Ever seen that show? Shark Tank.
Such a good show.
It's on NBC. Okay. And the whole show, if you guys haven't seen it, is a show about these investors who get pitched by these small business owners, their products, their businesses, and then the shark goes and he invests money into the business. And so I interviewed Matt Higgins, and he was a guest shark. So he wasn't one of the people who are on there every single week. He wasn't like the Damon Johns, the Mark Cubans, the Lori's and the Barbaras, but he was one of those guests, right? So if you guys ever watch it, you guys see the show enough, they have like these guests who come in, okay? And so he was a guest, and I was able to interview him a couple years ago. And I was actually very fortunate. Actually, I did a one-on-one Zoom with him too, which was just a cool experience. But super cool guy. But one of the things he talked about on that podcast was FU money. And so that's where the term comes from. Is just like, to me, getting FU money was a bigger desire than having the money to like buy things. I just wanted to be able to say, FU, I don't need your money. I can just say no. And I think understanding like what really drives you can also help you have clarity on the willingness to sacrifice to get to whatever your goal is. Because if somebody would have said, hey, you can like buy all these fancy cars and you can go on trips all the time and you can live wherever you want, I would just be like, no, I don't want that. I don't care. But if you can say, you can tell anybody no. Yeah, that's exciting. that gets me going, right? Freedom, really, like freedom. And so understanding what you guys are fighting for, I think, is important. It really is important. Okay? Understand what
And
drives you.
sometimes that is actually what you don't want. So in this example, Logan didn't necessarily his desire, his pull was not to actually be rich, but it was I'm going to not be poor and I'm going to do whatever is required for me to not be poor.
Yeah. And ultimately just understanding, are you willing to do what's required? And Katie was talking about a post by this guy named Sharon about how he was struggling to write a book because his desire with the goal, just like his actions weren't lining up with his desire to the goal. And I think for everyone here, just understanding like what your desires are and what your goals are, having clarity on those, it really is important. And that's why the desire to build in our business, like I'm setting that goal for you guys because what I know that some of you guys do know, there's a couple people on here who have built million dollar businesses, which is really cool. You guys should talk to the people who are on here who have actually built million dollar businesses from zero. Okay. But what we know and what some of you guys are learning is that a million dollar business creates freedom. It creates the freedom to tell people F you, but it also creates the freedom to buy things. And you're probably on one end of that spectrum, you're probably somewhere in between, right? Because at a $1 million business, there is enough revenue to have enough profit, enough left over in order for you to pay other people to operate the business, which gives you time freedom, and also enough profit, as long as you're okay making a couple $100,000 in income, to also buy the things that you want to buy. Okay. Now, everybody wants the outcomes. They want the time freedom. They want the money freedom. But Katie, what is required in order to actually attain those freedoms? What are we talking about today?
Skills.
Skills. As I help more and more people who now built million dollar businesses and their businesses are making money, now I start to help people more with the financial aspect of it. So now we're talking about they're making $20,000 a month. What do you do with $20,000 a month? Right? And we talk about filling certain buckets up. And then once we fill certain buckets up, then it's like, now I have extra cash. Now what do I do? Well, now we gotta talk about taxes. Now we gotta talk about how do we pay, like, when do we start buying assets, as an example? Okay. And so it becomes like this like once you solve one problem, you have another problem that pops up. Okay. But everything comes down to skills. Everything comes down to skills. And so right now, everybody wants to buy the real estate. They want to buy the hard asset. They want to be able to invest in stock markets. They want to invest in like things. And I'm only speaking from experience. Katie and I have purchased over $10 million of real estate in the last 5 years, and I would not recommend anybody doing that in that sequence. And what I would recommend, like what actually has held Katie and I back from getting to this point quicker, is we actually bought these tangible assets, and we should have just invested in our income. And so while we were able to acquire tangible assets, it was at the expense of us investing money into learning the skill of just growing our income. And so up until the last couple of years, actually, Katie and I haven't made a ton of income. But once we stopped getting distracted by these tangible assets, we started investing into our income. Our income, it exploded. It exploded. And a lot of you guys have been the beneficiary to that, because as we learned the skill, then we've been sharing it with you guys. And that's how you have someone like, I don't know if Julie's on here, but I just did Julie's one-on-one call this morning. Yeah, she's on track to do $90,000 this month. And Julia started her business with 0 clients, 0 cleaning experience 1 year ago. She's got skills. She got skills, right? And that's why she's here today. And also, now because she's got those skills, again, she's acquiring the next skill set of like, once you have money, what do you do with the money? Right? Here's where we're placing money. Okay. And so let's talk about these 5 skills that are required to build a business. Okay. Now, there's more than 5, but we're just going to talk about the major 5 today. Okay. And if you guys ever happen to be able to come out to Deck in a Day, we'll share with all those skills with you, and we'll go into great detail, because if you have clarity on these, you understand what they are, then you can actually focus on closing the gap on these skills every single day. And Every single one of them are required in order for you to actually be able to build that $1 million business. Like one deficit in one of these skills will hold you back.
And I
So,
think it's important as we start going into these skills and sharing with you guys these top 5 skills, it is not you have them or you don't. It's not binary. It's not like I'm not this, I don't have this or I do have this, but to what degree do I have this? And to what degree do I have this in the avenue of business? You might crush this personal skill in your relationship with your spouse, but when it comes to business, where do you stand on that spectrum?
yeah,
How much of the skill do you actually possess in business? So these are personal skills required to grow a $1 million business is what we're talking about today.
yeah. And what Katie said right there is so important, and it's also which makes it difficult. Is like it's not binary, and so you're like, I have courage. It's like you need more, which is number one. Okay, let's talk about courage. Why is courage? What is courage, and why is it required in order to build our business?
Courage is so important because courage comes from a place of acting before you have a track record. It is borrowed belief. It is believing before you actually have tangible outcomes of what you're trying to achieve. So it's acting out of fear. It's scary. It's unknown. It's foreign. It's the first thing. Courage actually is what allows you to have confidence in the future. But first, you must act without having a track record. Once you have the track record, that's where confidence comes.
Yeah, there's a book. It's called The Gap in the Gain, and the owner and the writer of his name is Dan Sullivan, and he explains this so well. He's like the difference between courage and confidence. Courage doesn't feel good, and that's how you know the difference. Right? And every single person that I've ever coached, they had to have the courage to put themselves in a situation to say, I don't know what I'm doing. And also, here's a big chunk of money. I'm going to invest this into you, and I'm not even sure it's going to pay off. Because I don't know, because I believe that you can do it, Logan. I don't know if I can do it. And that's fair. And every time that I invest, like I still have those thoughts. I'm like, if I'm going to give money to a person, like I believe it. I believe that they can do it. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can be accountable. I don't know if I can be consistent. I don't know if I can implement. I don't know if I have the bandwidth or the wherewithal, the skills to be able to implement everything that I need to in order for me to replicate this result. Right? I still have those fears. They're just less. Right? I guess I get less. They're less impactful. I just recognize that this is actually a signal that I'm actually doing things right. When I start to feel the fear, when I start to feel that uneasy feeling, like, okay, this is courage, Logan. Like, this is a good move, actually. This is a good move. And there's so many people in here. Again, the cool part about this room right here specifically is like half the people in here are coaching clients, and half the people in here are not coaching clients, and it's great, right? It's a great room, and like it's like that again. That word is binary, right? Just because you're a coaching client doesn't mean that you have enough courage in order for you to get to the end of our business, right? It just means you have some, you have some, and just because you're not in the coaching program doesn't mean you don't have courage either, right? And so that's what makes it challenging is that like it's not just one thing, and that's why it's just not just one skill set either, but it's just being able to reconcile these individual skill sets and then be able to stack them together. And that's why business is hard. And that's why only 7%, 7% of businesses actually make it to $1 million in revenue. 7%. It's very, very small number. Right? It's very, very small. It's a hard thing to do. By the numbers, it's a hard thing to do. It's not very common. And it's because there's a lot of skill sets that have to be working together over a long period of time in order for you to elicit a result. So courage. You have the courage to take action before there's evidence, right? Courage in marketing, courage in investing, right? Courage in doing something that you don't know what you get the outcome, like you're not sure if you can get the outcome, but you do anyway.
I think a big one that I see specifically with my one-on-one clients is the courage required to hold a standard and to confront the truth and what is required for you to actually take your business to the next level. Like you need to raise your standards. First, you raise your standards, then you communicate courageously how other people need to actually elevate their standards as well.
What if they quit? What if they quit?
Heaven forbid they don't meet the standard.
What if people judge me?
I love this. Every single client on my roster, we go over this like almost every single week. And I could give a shit less whether or not this cleaner stays on your team. This has nothing to do with the cleaner. And they always want to tell me the story about this cleaner and how they're going to give him another chance and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't care about the cleaner. I love the cleaners. You can't have a business without your cleaner. But this topic of conversation today is about the skills of the owner more than the skills of the team. Your skills as an owner have to be bigger, better, uh, more convicted than anybody on your team. So it takes you as a leader going first, acting out of courage, so you can provide an opportunity for them to also raise their standard and potentially raise your future cleaner standard. And then when you have onboarding 2 cleaners every single week, it just gets easier because you're like, I can hold the standard. But at first, when you don't know how to hold a standard, you have to act despite that fear and raise your own standard first.
So good. It's so good. That right there, guys, that was so good. That is so valuable, is when somebody starts to talk about their fears of doing something. It's never about the person. It's never about the employees. It's never about the coach. It's never about the external thing. It's always about them, right? And like, it doesn't matter about the situation. It's not the client or the cleaner. It's like you. And I think that's what Katie just showed, is like, you have to have the courage to hold the standard for clients and cleaners and other teammates on the team. And if they do not want to meet the standard, that's okay. And that's freedom. And so that's the
I think
freedom.
sometimes,
That's the freedom.
sorry,
Hold on. That's the freedom that's required in order for you to get the other freedom that you want, which is, well, time and money freedom. Again, like, there's a sequence to freedom. And the freedom is just like, here's the standard, be here or not. I'm okay either way. And if you do want to be here, let's create a strategy in order for you to meet the standard. If you're not, that's okay. There's a better job out there for you. There's a better service out there for you. There's another cleaning service that could work better for you. You guys are like, we are not the only cleaning service. We're not the only employer for everybody. And when you come from that place of freedom, a lot of people are actually attracted to that. They actually want to be a part of that, including yourself. You want to be a part of that too, most importantly.
sometimes we get so focused on the outcome, the financial freedom, the time freedom, that we mess our sequence up. The sequence first is skills. In order to be able to have that freedom, you have to have the skills. It's not going to come easy. You're going to have to act on courage and confront things that you've never confronted before. And ironically enough, what you project onto other people and what you see in other people is 100% something that you need to work on.
The flaws you see in others are just a mirror for the flaws that you see in yourself. Okay, Katie, share with us personal skill number 2 required to build $1 million
Personal
business.
skill number 2 required is consistency.
Sexy. Sexy. What does consistency mean in order to build $1 million business?
Yeah, this is the most unsexy thing ever. It is consistently showing up and doing what is required day after day after day. And what is required day after day after day might actually be more. It might actually be more than what you're capable of doing. So it's like me doing my best versus me doing what is required. And sometimes what is required is oftentimes more than what your best is. But through consistency, your best can improve to eventually equal what is required.
Yeah. I have the benefit of being able to work with quite a few people. And I think I said this on a coaching call to one of these people last week. And I was like, if I had 2 different avatars, and I had somebody who had, on a skill set level of being able to produce revenue, was 100%, but their consistency was 50%. And I had a second avatar where their ability to produce revenue was 50%, but their consistency was 100%. I was like, I'm going to take the person who's 100% consistent every time. Because you know what? I can teach that person skills. And therein lies the difference. Consistency is honestly a hard thing to teach. It's teachable, by the way. It's a skill, just like anything else. However, like, I'd rather teach somebody the skill sets of producing revenue than the skill set of being consistent. So like, when I'm looking, like, for example, like when we're hiring and looking for people on the team, I'm like, let me see the consistency first, because that to me is a much harder skill to teach than the skill set of teaching somebody how to sell, teaching somebody how to convert, teaching somebody how to follow a certain level of directions. right? But it's the consistency. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. And so finding ways for you to show up consistently and do the boring work over and over again, like that's sexy. Like if you want a sexy business, it comes from doing the same things over and over and over again. Right?
And a cheat code to become consistent. This was straight from, I think Logan mentioned this earlier, but I was reading a podcast on that Sharon posted, and Sharon is now a partner of acquisition.com, who's had $2 billion exits. So this guy has, talk about consistency. But he commented about sometimes we have personal commitments to consistency, like I'm going to go to the gym every single day. But that's really easy to fail at. So rather than saying, I'm going to go to the gym every single day, like, what if I just committed to putting my tennis shoes on once a week? Like, start with stupid little things so you can actually succeed, so we can actually create consistency on a bigger level eventually. But the person that we need to be the most consistent with is ourselves.
And the thing inside you guys' businesses that is like it's the thing that everybody can do is just like track your data. Like, don't worry about moving the needle on the data. Just track the data. Like, that's the thing you can do every single week.
That's so good.
That's your, like, don't worry about trying to move the data. Don't try to worry about the outcomes of the data. Just track the data. And that's why the vision sheet is one of the most important tools that we use for the coaching program. And I don't necessarily care where you're starting. I don't care how much money you're spending on marketing. I don't care how many cleaners you have. Just fill it out. Like, just get the thing filled out. That's all I gotta do. Just fill it out. And if you do that, then we can move to step number 2, as Katie will talk about. Once you put your shoes on to go to the gym, then you just got to get your keys and drive to the gym. And then once you're at the gym, then you got to walk in. And then once you're in, how many of you guys have ever regretted actually working out? How many of you guys have regretted actually like making progress? And so we just got to find these little milestones that get us closer and closer to the point where it's like, yeah, okay, I've done enough. I've done enough that I might as well just go through with it. Okay.
Yeah, tracking data is so important. It is putting your shoes on before you can go to the gym. So if any of you guys are in the coaching program, how many of you have showed up to a vision meeting where your vision sheet isn't filled out?
Ooh.
And what do we do?
That's right. We put the dang shoes on.
We put the shoes on with you. We tie your shoelaces. 2
Because
bunny ears.
working out without shoes on is ridiculous. And like we can't accomplish a lot. So we have to come back. Yeah, loop, swoop, and pull. Yeah. And so data is one of the things that you can always do to make sure that you give yourself the opportunity for your business to be consistent. Okay, so we have courage, skill number 1. Then we have consistency, skill number 2. What's about number 3, Katie? What's number 3? What's personal skill number 3 required to build a $1 million business?
Persistence.
Man, these are all like crazy, huh, guys? You guys probably never heard any of these before.
Yeah. So continuing to show up despite the shit is what persistence is. How many times have you guys like had setbacks? Never, right? You've never had a cleaner walk out on you. You've never had a client pissed off because the outcome of the clean wasn't what they expected. Yeah. You mean today? Love it, guy. Yeah. So persistence is what keeps the business in business day after day after day is persistence.
If we just saw mistakes as a part of the process in order for our businesses to grow, then we would see the feedback as necessary rather than be like, why is this happening? Or feel bad, or just have a belief that it should be easy. 93%, guys. 93% of people never make it to $1 million. Like, it's hard.
This is actually really good because when we have setbacks, in the business, when we have cleaners not show up, when we have clients pissed off, when we face these every single day, what is our initial thought? Do we blame outward? Are we like, these fucking employees, blah, 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 blah? Like, do we get mad at the team, or are we like, what did I do? What did I do? Because despite this thought, I still get some thoughts that are very judgy, very outward towards other people, but I never act on those thoughts. I always make sure that my actions are aligned with developing personal skills so we can actually continue to grow. So despite me having this judgmental thought of somebody else, it is never what I act on. I question it and I'm like,
I want
is
to say
that
something
true?
about Katie. That's a sequence. Back to sequence. Like this whole game is a game of sequence. Like here's what most people do is they feel that thought and they act on it. Okay. Then the next level of it is have the thought, act differently than the thought, act according with the goals. And the next step of that is actually you just think it's your fault and you act on it's your fault. And so there's a level of sequence to this entire game. And so ironically, it's the second piece, you acting in accordance with your goals, that then eventually allows you to think, react accordance into your goals. But it's a game of practice. Okay? It's a game of practice. Like persistence is the ultimate math game. You have a 0% chance of failing if you just simply keep going. 0%. Now, like everything, there is a nuance to this too, because quitting, just like Kate talked about before, is also not binary. It is not yes or no. And this is my favorite part. This is going to get some people, right? Maybe some of you guys are on here. Maybe some of you guys who are listening to this as a podcast, okay? And those are the people who I really want to get is that quitting doesn't mean shutting the business down. Quitting means turn off your marketing, stopping hiring cleaners. It means stop learning. It means stopping investing in your education. It's
Logan, you're breaking up on me.
yeah, saw that. Um, so no, that
He's frozen.
yes. I
You're you're still coming in and out. You're like every third word we hear. I don't know what he was talking about, but I'm gonna continue with my own thoughts that are pouring into my brain. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Kate Byron, or Katie Byron, I think is her actual name, but she goes by Kate. And she talks about when we have thoughts, what we do with those thoughts is really profound. So the first question that I think of is like, can you absolutely know that that thought is true? Can you absolutely know that this is entirely your employee's fault? Probably not. How do you react? What happens when you believe that that thought is true? If you truly believe that your employees are at fault for everything in your business, how do you react? Versus if it's my fault, how do I react? And then the most profound question that she asks is, who would you be without that thought? So if you did not think that it was your employee's fault, who would that allow you to be? I love Kate Byron. If you guys haven't ever listened to a Kate Byron podcast, she's amazing when it comes to helping you work through your own thoughts, and just questioning everything. Like we have so many thoughts that come into our brain every single day, and we have so many decisions that we can make based on our thoughts, and not all of our thoughts are true. We do not have to accept every single one of our thoughts. Have you guys ever meditated? Like, have you guys ever sat there and tried to like clear your brain and not think of anything? Like, what happens? Like the thoughts just flood. At least this is what happens when I meditate, or if I ever try to sit there and like not think of anything, it's like thought, 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 thought. And the coolest thing is to just try to sit there and actually not have any of those thoughts not attached to any of those thoughts. Just let them come and go. Let them come and go. And then question them. Are any of those thoughts true? If that thought is true, who would I be? Who would I be without that thought?
There's the pool guy outside, and I'm like, I blamed him for the internet going down. It's definitely his fault. It's the freaking pool guy's fault. Like, he's blocking the internet. I can clearly see him out there. He's blocking the freaking internet, guys. So freaking pool guy. Jesus. Oh, so funny. Okay. Persistence. Persistence, honestly, is like, it is the ultimate skill. It's just, can you stay in the game long enough? Can you stay in the game long enough for you to eventually get humbled enough, or to get enough no's, enough rejection to eventually get to the answer that's required in order for you to get the outcome you're looking for, right? That's what it comes down to. And I think about this so much, this persistence skill, in my first 3 years of business. When I started my gym, it took me 3 years of making $135,000 in revenue in 3 years, which is less than $5,000 a month for 36 months in a row, less than $5,000 a month. And I finally got the point. Logan, you don't know enough. But you know what you do have? You have the skill set of persistence, but you don't have the skill set of actually marketing and sales. So at that point, actually, it didn't become a personal thing. It became a business thing. And so I had to invest money into a coach, paid the guy $10,000 to teach me marketing and sales. And so now I got a marketing and sales system. And all of a sudden, I just was like, I did what was required, even though I didn't feel like it, even didn't want to. It didn't feel good. I did it. And that's where the business went from $5,000 a month to $50,000 a month the very next month. And so that's where a personal skill like persistence, it'll keep you in the game long enough for you to eventually be able to be presented the opportunity to actually learn the business skills. And there's people in here who have very similar situations. Renee Krause, you're one of those people. There's people in here who have been in business for 10 years. You have the persistence to be in business for 10 years, right? Renee Krause is a good example. 10 years in business, got to $20,000 a month, and her persistence kept her in the game. And then when she got to me, I was like, I see what the skills you need in order for your business to continue to grow. And so then I helped her with marketing. I helped her with sales, helped her with hiring. And now she's going to do, Renee, what are you going to do this month? Almost 60,000, right? And so like personal skills sometimes are the things that are required in order for you to give the opportunity to learn the business skills, which is a whole nother set of skills that we also talk about at Duck in a Day as well, right? And that's what makes this game hard, is you guys can have all the personal skills, and then you still got to learn the business skills. You actually do have to learn how to market, sell, and hire, and lead people. Dang it. It's not just personal skills as well. Right? Okay. Let's do this thing.
You tied that perfectly in, because that's skill number 4 is actually learning.
Learning, yeah. Skill number 4, learning, right? How many of you guys want to make more money? Cool. If your guys' goal was to learn more skills, you would make a lot more money. And that's the problem with business, is that everybody in the business, including myself, started in this business to make more money. But if the goal was just to get more skills, I would have been a lot richer, a lot faster. And so when my kids, when they talk about how to make money, I'm very quick to help change their thought processes. Be like, don't worry about making money. Worry about skills. Like, what skills can you learn from this job? What skills can you learn in order to make you more valuable? And if you come in with that frame, you see life differently. You'll see what the 7% of people make to $1 million actually eventually see, is that your skill sets, that is what pays you the $1 million, is your value of what you learn and how you're able to take what you have learned and put it into practice. Okay. And so being a learner, again, Alex has another great quote where he talks about the more that you learn, the more that you earn. And so being a lifelong learner is going to allow you to continue to raise your income to infinity. Do you guys realize that you guys can make more money than you guys can think of the number on top of your head? Do you guys realize? Do you realize that? Do you realize that? There's no ceiling on how much money you can make outside of like what your little brains can think of. I make $20 an hour. Right? You don't get paid for your time. You get paid for the value that you elicit during your 24 hours of time that you have every single day.
Which goes back to sequence. If we think about the outcome and we're always pushing for an outcome of $1 million run rate, of 14 cleaners, of whatever outcome we're pushing for, we forget to learn the skills that are required sometimes along the way to actually be able to attain that outcome.
Yeah. Learner. Okay. This is one of the ones that I look for in all humans. Like if a person is unwilling to learn, I am unwilling to teach, because I don't teach people who don't want to learn. And so a learner, I believe, is one of the best personal skills you can ever have. And it's one of the things that with our kids that I'm so focused on, of not the individual skills they learn, but the fact of they understanding how to learn and the value of learning in itself. I do not care. I am less concerned about what our 6-year-old, the skills that she's learning at 6 years old, and the fact that she just enjoys learning. She's understanding how to learn skills, and that she thinks it's fun and she's excited for it. Whereas Kobe, like school, she goes to public school, and it's like school is a burden. Learning is a burden. Like getting out of school is great. Summer, great. Like excited to stop learning. And it's like it's just a default. It's just a default of how everyone in here most likely went to public school, just like me and Katie did as well. It's like you're trained to not like learning. And it's the opposite of what actually is required in order for you to continue to grow, is to continue to learn. And so enjoying learning is one of the 5 skills required to build a $1 million business. Right.
And understanding that there's learning at every level. Like you think you know it all at 20, and then you're like, shit, I don't know what the next thing is. And then you think you know it all at 40, and you're like, oh man, turns out I don't know what I don't know. And almost like the more that you learn, the more you realize that you really don't know anything.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with Logan the other day about hanging out with Trevor and Alex, and looking back and thinking about my conversations with Trevor and Alex, and how I was so intimidated when we first met them to hold a conversation with them, because I didn't know anything and I wanted to act like I knew something. So I would show up and I would turn my learner off, and I would just like word vomit shit that I didn't even know, but like I pretended like I knew, which made me look like an ass, to be honest with you. And I was telling him, like, my confidence in being able to conversate with people who are smarter than me has gotten so much better, because I understand that it's okay to not know. It's actually a benefit. The more that I can ask questions, the more that I can seek to learn, the more that I can like seek to find understanding in what they're actually saying. And if I don't understand what they're saying, ask them questions rather than trying to be smarter than I really am and like assume that I know what they're talking about.
You should write that shit down. That will give you so much freedom in life. It's not to have to pretend to know shit, and instead admit and be humble enough to ask questions. That'd be the best advice on this entire call so far.
Which is ironic, because going back to like public school versus private school, like Lainey has no problem asking her teacher questions for help because she's in a private setting and there's not like this judgment that's being honed in on her. But in high school versus middle school versus elementary school, like in elementary school, how many kids, when the teacher asks a question, shoot their hands up because they know the answer? They get excited because they think that they know the answer. But in high school, it's like popcorn reading. It's like, don't call on me, don't call on me, don't call on me. I don't want to have to read out loud. Like, why? Why do we stop? Like, where's that transition to not wanting to learn and like look silly and ask questions and not know the right answer, but seek to learn and develop that skill? I don't want our kids to ever lose that.
Puberty. That's when that happens. Puberty. All right. So we have courage, we have consistency, we have persistence, we have learner, and then number 5, Katie, what's the number 5 skill in order to build another business?
Self-control.
What does that mean? What does actually self-control mean?
Self-control means despite having thoughts, feelings, emotions of, I don't want to do this, this is too hard, this sucks, this whatever, is actually just aligning our actions with the ultimate goal of learning the skills that are required at the next level.
Yeah. It's like, can you resist the shiny objects? Can you resist the impulses? Can you delay the immediate gratification? Back to the desire to be rich rather than the desire to have skills. Do you want to look rich or do you actually want to be rich? And most people can't delay the gratification long enough to actually be rich. And like that, guys, that is the truth. And by the way, like I've definitely had ebbs and flows in my life too, where I've been on both sides of these equations. Like I don't try to pretend like I haven't been on the other side as well. Just the more money we make, the more I realize that the less rich I look, the more rich I actually get. And it's because the things that make you look rich are the things that make you more poor.
Yep.
You want to see my ugly houses that I bought 5 years ago that are now tripled in value? No, nobody wants to see those things. Right? Nobody wants to see those things. Right? Let me show you my brand new car, or my trip that I just went on, or my fancy watch, or whatever thing that you believe you get status for my fancy bag. Right? And so self-control is it has a lot to do with impulses of like spending habits, but also has a lot to do with like your how you spend your time as well. It's like, I don't really want to make a sales call today. I don't really want to confront this cleaner. Are you willing to align your actions with your goals?
And sometimes that means that you need to change your goal. If your action is not aligning with your goal, like, and you continuously disappoint yourself and you continuously prove that you are not willing to sacrifice what is required to get to the goal, then stop failing. Like, change your goal.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And that's why like I push more people to not do coaching, not join the program, not build $1 million business than I do the other way around. Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment. It's sacrifice. And if you're not willing to do the inputs, then do not try. Do not believe that it's possible for you to get the outcome of $1 million business. And so as much as I'm on here to sell you guys to grow $1 million business, I'm actually selling a portion of you guys to not, because you're not willing to sacrifice. You're not willing to invest. You're not willing to have the courage to put money in and actually it not come back right away. If it doesn't come back tomorrow or by the end of the week, you're like, no, it's not a good investment. That money will come back in 10 years. I can't wait 10 years. I got bills to pay. It's fine. You're not going to build $1 million business if you're so focused on today.
One thing that Sharon podcast taught me, which was really cool, he wanted to write a book for like a decade, and he would like vaguely mention it on podcasts and on public speakings and just be like, I'm writing this book. He eventually hired a ghostwriter, wrote the book, had it like on his shelf in one published form, but never actually released it to the public. And he was like, it just never, like, I don't know why, but I had this like feeling inside of me that was just never right. So he asked himself if he removed the praise that he would get externally or the ability to put author next to his name, is writing a book something that he still wanted to achieve? And the answer was no. So he never published the book. But I think sometimes we get so fixated on proving to somebody else besides ourselves what success looks like, what we desire, what like our goals are, that we forget to like figure out what we want. Or in Logan's instance, what he doesn't want. He doesn't want to be poor. Therefore, the only thing that he's going to execute on is everything that's going to make him rich.
Yeah. So it's really important. Like, again, to build $1 million business, it requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain. And so if your goal is not freedom, if your goal is not to have the freedom of money to be able to walk into places and have choices, more choices, the freedom to be able to be able to pay somebody else, to be able to operate your business, then like it's not worth it. So don't do it. like just continue to work hard, basically have a really high paying job, and just keep doing it. Right? Because the sacrifice isn't worth it then. Right? But if you do want those things, if you do want money freedom and time freedom, then that's what this system is for. It's for people who actually want to have the freedom in both time and money to be able to then like help more people and serve more people. And that's really what it's about. It's taking that like you, like, it's not that, it's the first phase to solve your own problems. And then it's the second phase to help other people solve their problems. And I'm telling you what, the second phase is way more fulfilling than phase number one. Phase number two is where true fulfillment comes from. And that's how you play that game forever. You can only fill up your bucket so much. And that's why people who become successful, the people who you know, like, it's because they're helping other people achieve their goals as well. Okay. And so one of the things that has been like that's really fun for Kate and I is to help other people also hit $1 million businesses, also become financially secure, comfortable, and then we'll start to see some people hopefully soon become rich as well. Because like, that's freaking cool. It's so cool to see somebody else achieve these milestones, somebody else be able to transform their life. That is fulfilling. But it only can happen if you have done it first. Back to the sequence game. And so, James, I just dropped a new video, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, of one of our coaching clients who went from, it was actually one of Katie's clients, went from, I think it was like $10,000 a month to $60,000 a month using this system. And again, they had to go through the steps of learning these personal skills. But James will drop the link to the stories. And there's quite a few other stories on there as well. Renee's on there, I believe. She's on here right now. Her story's on there. Who else is on here? Marie is on there as well. You guys can see some of, Jacinto's on there. So some of the people who are actually on this call, you can see some of their stories as well. But James, if you can drop that link down below, you guys can go check out some of those stories. You guys can hear some of their stories. And like, it's really important for you guys to be able to take someone else's story and be able to learn from their story. It's like you guys are listening to Kate and I's story, but if you guys understand there's other people out there who also have really cool stories that are probably similar to yours. And the more that you can latch on to stories, the more that you can see your story through mine and Katie's stories, through Renee's story, through Marie's story. And the more of those that you can believe, then the more willingness you are to actually do what's required in order for you to close the gap on acquiring these skills. Okay, Katie, give me a question here. We got 5 minutes. We're going to get to one question a day, which is great. So it's more than we got to last week. Next week, hopefully we'll get to more questions next week.
I think we might be able to answer too. So somebody dropped another question. When you're going from $20,000 to $40,000 a month in your cleaning business, which skill out of these 5 is the one that is sharpened the most, and how?
Oh, it's number 1. It's courage, man. You never been there before. So you don't know if it's possible. You don't know. And so going from 20 to 40 is courage. Guess what? Going from 40 to 80 is also courage. Guess what? Going from 80 to 160, it's also courage. I can tell you guys right now, we did over $200,000 a month last month. And for us to want to go to our $5 million run rate, which means we have to get to $320,000 a month, courage. Because like, I've never done it. It's like courage is like courage. It's courage. Like courage, right? It's courage. And just got to have faith, right? And like, what's the worst case scenario? I really think about this a lot. Like, this actually helps me with the courage thing a lot. And I'm gonna just transition this slightly. Lastly, like, I think about things a lot in life and death. And so last week there was a lot of craziness that happened in the world, a lot about death, right? There was multiple instances that were like got headline news about death, and it just allowed me to like continue to like this is something that I think about quite a bit. And so last week it just became amplified. But like, we're in the cleaning business, guys. Like, we are not life and death situations. We are not wearing bulletproof vests to work every single day. Like, the worst case scenario we have is really it's an internal problem. We don't have any fear of death. We don't have any fear of our kids not like eating or sleeping or losing our roof over our head. Like, we're not like, if you can just put things in perspective, like the courage to actually do what we do, like, it's different than going to war. It's different than actually putting your life on the line. The other day, Katie and I watched Top Gun, Maverick, right? And Katie and I were both crying. Katie crying, more than I was, but still crying. Like these guys are going
Always.
in they're going into a war situation. And I was like that just reminded me of like, dude, what we're doing in the cleaning business, like it's not life and death. Like these guys are actually going to war. They're doing something for their country. They're protecting 364 million Americans who don't even realize the situation and they couldn't comprehend it. And these guys are putting their lives on the lines. Like, that's not what we're doing, guys. We're not doing anything that has like significant consequences to our being. And that's the frame I use a lot when it comes to courage of like, if I lose $100,000, I'm okay. Like I don't die, right? Like I'm not putting myself in a situation where like I'm not going to be able to not show up for my kids tomorrow or my spouse, right? Like,
And the story is not meant to discount your feelings or your thoughts. It's just meant to
mm,
realign your actions with the bigger picture, with actually being able to achieve your goal.
it's to reframe, just a reframe. It's just to help you understand that like it's okay. Like the courage for me to try to go from 20 to 40K, like it's worth it for me to go all in. Because me going all in, it doesn't really have like the worst case scenario is okay. It's okay. It's okay. So okay, we got one question which was great. Katie, next week we're gonna make it a goal to answer 2 questions. Okay, 2 questions next week.
Perfect.
Okay. So next week again. Appreciate you guys for getting on here today. Really, really, really do.
I'm genuinely curious if you guys like this new structure or if we should just go back to Mesa's data.
Well, I can tell you based on people showing up, more people show up. So that's how I can tell people like it or not is they actually show up to it. So, but
I just need to
I,
be reaffirmed by all the comments saying yes.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm human.
Well, yeah, it's so funny. So again, Katie cares more about what people say. I care more about what people will do. And here's like a good example. A couple years ago, when we actually moved down to Arizona, we actually rented our house out because the Super Bowl was in town. So this was, whenever the Super Bowl was in Arizona, and we actually went to a town north of here. Why am I blanking what it's called?
Sedona.
Sedona. We went to Sedona for the weekend, and we rented our house out. That way, we could get like monster rates for our house over the Super Bowl. But when we were in Sedona, um, it's like a little tourist town, and Katie bought 4 different types of like popcorn, like different flavors of popcorn, and we're all eating it, watching the Super Bowl. And so I started to ask the kids, like, "What's your favorite one?" They're like, "Well, I don't like this one. I don't like this one." I'm like, really? It's interesting, because 5 minutes later, they were all gone. I was like, "What do you mean you don't like it?" No, I didn't like it. I was like, "Well, then why did you eat it?" She's like, "It's like exactly." So pay attention to what people do rather than what they say, because people will say things, but their actions don't align with what they say, and that's how you can tell somebody's actual beliefs. What somebody actually values is what they do, not what they say. So
I am a forever learner in this because I will believe people what they tell me all day long and I'll forget to watch. And then I get slapped in the face. So it's great.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So appreciate you guys for showing up. Appreciate that. And also, I also have man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 honorable mentions that I didn't get a chance to share today, but they will be inside the notes. So if you guys want to go see the honorable mentions, they'll be inside the notes. They'll be inside the replays. So whether you guys are inside the paid coaching program under Road to a Million, if you go look in there, there's notes underneath there. Or if you guys are inside the free school group, Road to a Million, you guys will see the notes in there. There's actually 9 honorable mention skills that are required in order for you to build into our business, along with the 5 we talked about today. So definitely go take those. Be aware of them, and then do them, get better at them. And again, it's not whether you have them or not. It's just trying to increase your skill sets in those areas. More courage. Find opportunities to be more courageous. Find more opportunities to be consistent, persistent. Learn more. Do more. Right? Self-control. Find opportunities to align your goals with your actions. So appreciate you guys for showing up today. Super appreciate you guys. Happy freaking Monday. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And yeah, have a great freaking day, my friends. Bye.
Goodbye.